everyone. So this is going to be my first kind of podcast. This is going to be very amateur. It's going to be very hard for me because this is not something I do in front of the camera. I usually am a good listener and a good commenter when I'm talking with my friends, but not really in front of the camera. So I'm gonna try my best. My mother tongue is Turkish, but my second language is English because I spent my years studying abroad and in American schools. But since we're all so dived in our phones and stuff like that and give most of our attention to constant scrolling, I feel like I have truly lost myself and my purpose, how to really explain myself and my thoughts. And so I will try my best to focus on some themes about life and what my thoughts are on them throughout this podcast stuff. But this is kind of like a background of who I am, what my problems are. Okay. Since I was a little kid, I always had super big dreams, like dreams that were not really achievable in a way, but I always had different thoughts than most of how other kids would grow up. I love singing. I have a singing account. I love singing. I love making music. Nothing is out yet. That is the main thing that I wanted to talk about in this podcast, is how I never act on my dreams and how this is something that every single people, in my opinion, goes through. Many of us have so many dreams, so much belief system in ourselves, but we don't do it for many reasons. Just get caught up in life, and that is what I am experiencing right now. And I'm very caught up in my school, in my university, with my friends, everything, and I have truly lost what I really want in this life. So maybe in this podcast I can remind myself of who I truly am and what I am capable of, and how this could be taken into somewhere that has light in it. And maybe this could help you guys. I really don't know when I lost myself. I think that is what scares me the most. There was no single day where I just woke up and suddenly became a different person. I always knew myself. I think it happened slowly. I lost myself in the routine of the daily life and how fast it went. I became so focused on appearing okay that I stopped asking myself whether actually if I was okay. I wanted people to see me going out, wearing beautiful clothes, having friends, laughing and having fun. I wanted my life to look full. I wanted to prove that I was in a good place, because since I was a kid, I had been excluded, bullied, just because I was not really adapting to their normal, especially in high school. This wasn't the case in middle school, but I've always felt that I was never in their normal. I don't know how to explain it. Maybe I was trying to prove it to other people, but honestly, I think I was mostly trying to prove it to myself. I held on to this version of myself, the social girl, the fun girl, the girl who always had plans, so tightly that eventually I could no longer tell where the character ended and where I began. I was, of course, going out because I was happy to go out with my friends, spend time with them, because I'm a very social girl since I was a little kid. When I came into the realization that this wasn't really the case and that I could not bear being alone with myself in my room or with my thoughts, I constantly had to prove myself and other people that I had people with me and that I was never alone. So I covered the silence with clothes, with makeup, people, attention, messages, and plans. At some point, I became so focused on building a life that looked exciting and familiar and easy, and I stopped building an inner life, which I always used to do. My days became very simple. I would only think about what I wanted to wear, what I was gonna wear. I only planned that, where I was gonna go, who I might see, whether someone might message me, whether I might feel wanted. And that became enough to carry me throughout the day. Like my only focus and my only survival, and the thing that I looked forward to was to go out with my friends, to wear a cute outfit, and that was the only thing that I worked on. Like nothing that would actually be just for me, and it was only for, presenting myself as best as I could in front of people. That was the only thing that I could do for myself throughout this past year, apparently. And maybe that is why time started moving so quickly. And I'm so sorry, I'm reading off from my notes because I'm very new to this, so I don't know, I didn't that's why I think days became very not meaningful. And it was kind of meaningful because I did socialize with my friends. I did talk about stuff. I have a best friend, Ekin. She's my sister. Since we were little, we used to talk about things that were not age appropriate for us because we were very mature and we had so much in us, and we knew that and we believed that. We had so many goals, the things that we wanted to accomplish, the plans that we had for ourselves. We always talked about how to improve ourselves and acted upon that. So I'm very, very grateful for that. And I'm always very grateful to have that with my friends. But apart from that, when I focus on my life, and what I have observed is that I realized that I could not remember the last time I deeply explored a thought. That only occurs when I'm talking with my friends like Ekin. That's the only place that comes out, the actual thoughts I have. Since I was a little kid, I was never the type of person who asked for love, asked for attention. I really truly didn't care about being liked. It was me and the people who knew me and knew my heart was the people that are meant to be around me. And I truly lived by that. I truly, that was my mentality. I never felt bad that I was not chosen because I knew my self-worth enough to not really get driven by that because I had so many other stuff to focus on. I was always driven by passion, dreams, self-worth, improvement, family, to be a kind, nice, educated person. Being liked and being wanted was the least important thing in my life, and I truly mean that. I truly was that kind of person, and I still am. I still try to keep that part of myself, even though it's very hard. Even though I say that I'm not really controlled by it, I still do get affected by it. I started university. I have amazing friends. I love them so much. I have a great life out there, thank God. But I feel like because I go out so often and never spend time with myself alone, I forgot how important that is for myself. And going out is amazing. Having nice time out is amazing. But when that happens every single time that you want to escape yourself or don't want to be alone in your room, and you neglect yourself and you go out just to feel okay for a few hours, rise your dopamine levels, and then come back and feel like shit again, that's when it becomes kind of a problem. I had become so disconnected with myself just to please others, or I love to help my friends out. I love to do that. I love to listen to them. But I realized that I have became the type of person to run for the help of everyone and never focus on myself. So by that I mean, if my friends wanted to go out, have some fun, or if they wanted some kind of help, I would run so fast to help them. But when that was the case for me, I would never do that. I would never take the time to spend time with myself, focus on myself, help myself out, listen to myself, because that's what I do. I always love to give, even though I would receive something or not. It's just the type of person I am. And I have improved this thing that was not really great very much, and I do keep myself a priority at all times. I know my standards, I know my worth, I know my self-respect. I know all of that. But the only thing, throughout this past year, I have realized that through the absence of attention, it became kind of like an evidence for me that I did not matter. And this is so frustrating for me because I know truly deep down that I'm not the type of person to know my worth because some people validate me. I know that that's nonsense and that's bullshit, but of course we are all human and we sometimes feel stuff like this. I don't blame it. I know that many people go through this. I also went through this, but it's very frustrating when you have other stuff to focus on, but you're so focused on relationships and people that you lose yourself and you lose your purpose in life. I've always struggled with separation. Even when I was younger, leaving people I loved made me feel like it was unbearable. I went through my feelings in the highest form possible. It was not normal. So that's where the thing started, I think. Distance did not feel temporary to me. It felt like something was being taken away. And now when somebody gives me attention and then becomes distant, my reaction can feel much bigger than the actual situation. It can feel physical, my stomach drops, I cannot concentrate, I check things I know I should not check, try to understand what I did wrong. I always did this, and I know that this is not really about the person in front of me, not because I cannot live without them or they're super like, they should be in my life. No, it's about me. And I know that because the person changes, but the feeling stays almost intact, exactly the same. That is what is so disturbing about anxious attachment. You can be intelligent enough to understand what is happening and still feel completely controlled by it. I can know that someone is not right for me. I can know that I don't even want a relationship with them. I can see their limitations clearly. I can be proud, have boundaries, and also know my worth. And still, when their attention disappears, something inside me reacts as if I have lost something essential. And this has happened in my relationships, not really in my friendships, but it's just, I feel like this is going to be a totally different podcast about my relationship with men, and how I was raised had really fucked up my perception of how I see men. But that's a different topic. I think the real question is not how do I completely become healed, because that shouldn't be something to achieve. I think it's a progress and it's a never-ending cycle, in my opinion. You just get better at how you handle the situation the next time it happens. So ask yourself, what can I do differently the next time I am about to abandon myself? Create a pause. So that means before I accept a plan, send another message, explain myself, chase somebody, or do something just to not feel alone, I want to stop for a moment and ask, what am I actually looking for right now? Or how is this going to, in any way, help me feel better individually, like just for my inner peace and my inner health and my mental health? How is this going to be meaningful for me, this interaction that I'm about to go to? Sometimes it's good to have meaningless or just having fun kind of going out, but I used to abandon my plans throughout the day, just like making music or singing or doing warm-ups or studying or reading a book or going out for a walk. I used to abandon all of that just so I could feel wanted, invited, or just to go out with my friends to have some kind of fun, and abandon everything else that I had planned throughout the day to do for my own life and for my own investments that I have to make for my future and for myself. But I used to abandon all of that. So do I want this person, or do I actually just want their reassurance? Or do I genuinely want to help, or am I afraid this person will dislike me if I say no? Or I say no to this invitation, will they never invite me again, and will I lose my circle? This is the most toxic thing I feel like a person could feel, because if you know that those kind of people are your people, they will never ever make you feel bad about saying no to something. And they're guaranteed, like they're gonna be there every... The question is whether am I choosing it or using it to actually escape something. Because for someone like me, being alone is not just rest, it is a form of exposure. I am exposing myself to the feelings I usually avoid, and I love to avoid my feelings. I love to suppress them, even though I am the kind of girl who knows the importance of talking things out and communicating and solving them. I love to suppress them until they just like explode. I love to do that. So these are the kind of stuff that I would advise you to do. I am still at the very beginning of the road, and I really hope that we could, like, this is very bad, in my opinion. No, I'm trying my best. It's gonna be very messy. This is the first video. It's gonna be very messy. The themes are all over the place. I don't know what I'm saying. But I really hope you did actually take anything from it, or it made you feel less alone in any kind of thing. And I really hope I improve myself on this in the next video. I don't even know.